Welcome to this quiet space, a space where you can rest and learn and drift, as gently as clouds moving across an evening sky. Tonight, or today, or whenever you are here, you are invited to explore something remarkable, something that is happening inside you, right now, in this very moment. Your brain, not as a fixed object, but as a living landscape. A landscape that shifts and changes, slowly, quietly, like a forest growing through the seasons. You do not need to do anything right now. You do not need to remember everything you hear. You do not need to stay awake. If sleep finds you along this journey, that is perfectly natural. That is exactly as it should be. Because even as you rest, even as you dream, your brain continues its ancient work. The work of changing, of adapting, of healing itself. For a very long time, scientists believed the brain was unchangeable. They thought that once you reached adulthood, your brain was set, like concrete hardening into its final form. The paths were drawn. The connections were made, and nothing could alter them. This was the old view, the view that said, you are born with all the brain cells you will ever have. And after childhood, after adolescence, the window closes. But this view, like so many old views, turned out to be wrong. In the last few decades, researchers discovered something extraordinary. They discovered that the brain, your brain, is not fixed at all. It is plastic. Not plastic like the material, but plastic in the older sense of the word. Malleable, shapeable, capable of being molded by experience. This ability, this capacity for change, is called neuroplasticity. Neuro, meaning related to the nervous system and brain. Plasticity, meaning the quality of being shaped or formed. Neuroplasticity is the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize itself, to form new connections, to strengthen old ones, to let go of what is no longer needed. It is the reason you can learn at any age, the reason you can recover after injury or stress, the reason you can change your habits, your thoughts, your responses to the world. Imagine for a moment a vast forest, not a forest of tall, ancient trees standing in neat rows, but a wild forest, dense and tangled, with paths winding through it in every direction. Some paths are wide and well-worn, traveled so often that the earth is packed smooth. Other paths are narrow, barely visible, covered in fallen leaves and overgrown grass. And in some places, there are no paths at all, just thick undergrowth, waiting for the first explorer to push through. This forest is your brain. The trees, the plants, the living network of roots beneath the soil. These are our neurons. Neurons are the cells of the nervous system. They are messengers. They carry information. Each neuron has a body. And reaching out from that body are branches. Some branches are short and many, like the roots of a tree seeking water. These are called dendrites. One branch is long, extending far from the cell body, like a road leading to another village. This is called an axon. At the end of the axon, the neuron reaches toward other neurons. It does not quite touch them. There is a tiny gap, a space so small you cannot see it with your eyes. This space is called a synapse. When a neuron wants to send a message, it releases chemicals into that gap. These chemicals drift across the space, like pollen floating on the breeze, and land on the next neuron. If enough of these chemical messages arrive, the next neuron activates. It fires, and the signal continues, traveling along the path. This is how thoughts happen, how memories form, how you move your hand, recognize a face, feel an emotion. Neurons talking to each other across billions of tiny synapses, creating patterns of activity like a symphony of whispers. Now, here is where neuroplasticity comes in. Every time you learn something new, every time you practice a skill, every time you have an experience, the connections between your neurons change. Some connections grow stronger, some grow weaker, some are born, some fade away. Think of those forest paths again. When you walk the same path over and over, it becomes clearer. The grass is trampled down. The soil becomes firm. It is easier to travel each time. This is what happens in your brain when you repeat an action or thought. The synapses involved, the connections between those specific neurons, they become more efficient. The chemical signals flow more easily. The pathway is strengthened. Scientists have a phrase for this: cells that fire together, wire together. When two neurons are active at the same time, repeatedly, the connection between them grows stronger. This process has a scientific name: long-term potentiation. Long-term because the strengthening lasts. Potentiation, meaning to make more powerful. But you do not need to remember that term. You only need to know the feeling. You have felt this yourself. Think about the first time you tried to tie your shoes, or ride a bicycle, or type on a keyboard. At first, it was hard. You had to think about every movement. Your fingers fumbled. Your balance wavered. But slowly, with practice, it became easier. And one day, you realized you were not thinking about it anymore. Your hands just knew what to do. Your body just knew how to move. That is long-term potentiation. That is the well-worn path. Now imagine, you stop walking a certain path in the forest. Maybe you find a better route. Maybe you no longer need to go to that part of the woods. What happens to the unused path? Over time, grass grows over it. Leaves pile up. Young trees sprout where once there was open ground. The path does not disappear immediately, but it fades. It becomes harder to find. Eventually, it may vanish altogether. The same thing happens in your brain. Connections that are not used begin to weaken. This process is called synaptic pruning. Pruning, like a gardener trimming a rose bush. It may sound like a loss, but it is not. It is essential. Your brain has billions of neurons and trillions of connections. If every connection stayed strong forever, the forest would become impassable. There would be no clear paths, no way to navigate. Pruning allows the brain to be efficient. It clears away the noise, the unused connections, so that the important signals can travel quickly and clearly. Think of a garden in late autumn. The gardener walks through, gently cutting back the plants that have finished blooming. They are not destroying the garden. They are preparing it, making space for new growth in the spring. Pruning is an act of care. In childhood, the brain is especially active with pruning. Young children have far more synaptic connections than adults. Their brains are wide open, forming connections everywhere, trying out every possible path. But as they grow, as they learn which paths are useful, the brain begins to prune. It refines itself. It becomes more specialized, more efficient. This does not mean the brain stops changing after childhood. That is the old view. The one we now know is wrong. Pruning continues throughout life. New connections form throughout life. The forest is always shifting. But there is more to this story. Strengthening and pruning, these are not the only ways the brain changes. Sometimes, the brain needs to forge entirely new paths. This is called synaptogenesis. Synaptogenesis, the birth of new synapses. New connections forming where none existed before. Imagine walking through the forest and deciding to go somewhere you have never been. There is no path. So you push through the undergrowth. You step carefully over roots. You part the branches with your hands. The first time is slow, difficult. You might wonder if you should turn back. But if you keep going, if you walk that road again the next day, and the day after that, something begins to happen. The grass starts to flatten. The way becomes clearer. A new path is being born. This is what happens when you learn something completely new. When you study a language you have never spoken. When you pick up an instrument for the first time. When you try a skill that feels foreign and strange. Your brain reaches out, forming new connections, building new pathways. At first, it feels awkward. Your mind has to work hard. You make mistakes. You forget things. But with each attempt, the new synapses grow stronger. The path becomes easier to find. And one day, what once felt impossible feels natural. Scientists can actually see this happening. Using special imaging techniques, they can watch the brain as it learns. They see certain areas light up with activity. They see blood flow increasing, bringing oxygen and nutrients to the working neurons. And over time, they see the structure of the brain itself change. The areas involved in the new skill grow slightly larger, more dense with connections. There is a famous study of London taxi drivers. In London, to become a licensed taxi driver, you must pass a test called the knowledge. You must memorize thousands of streets, landmarks, routes. It takes years of study. Researchers scanned the brains of these drivers and compared them to people who did not drive taxis. They found something remarkable. The taxi drivers had larger hippocampi. The hippocampus is a part of the brain involved in spatial memory and navigation. It had grown, physically changed, because of all that learning. This is neuroplasticity in action, not abstract, not invisible. Real structural change. And it does not only happen with memory. Musicians who play string instruments have larger areas of the brain dedicated to the fingers of their left hand. The fingers that press the strings, that must move with such precision. Jugglers who practice for weeks show increased gray matter in areas related to visual motion processing. Meditators, who spend years in focused practice, show thickening in regions associated with attention and emotional regulation. Your brain is not a static object. It is a living response to how you spend your time. Now, You might be thinking, this all sounds very active. Learning, practicing, doing. But what about rest? What about stillness? What about times when you feel like nothing is happening? Rest is not the absence of change. Rest is when much of the deepest change occurs. But we will return to that thought later in this journey. For now, let us stay with the forest. The paths in the forest, the synapses in your brain, they do not exist in isolation. They are part of networks. A single path might connect to dozens of others. A single neuron might receive signals from thousands of other neurons. And when you think, or move, or feel, entire networks light up. Imagine watching the forest from above, at night. Each time someone walks a path, a soft light appears. As more people walk, more lights appear. Soon the forest is glowing, with patterns of light weaving through the trees. This is what your brain looks like, from a certain perspective. Patterns of activity, flowing, shifting, creating the experience of being you. And these patterns can change. Old patterns can fade. New patterns can emerge. This is both the wonder and the challenge of neuroplasticity. Because the brain does not only change in ways you choose, it changes in response to everything you experience. If you spend hours each day worrying, the pathways involved in worry grow stronger. If you spend hours each day in kindness, the pathways involved in compassion grow stronger. The brain is neutral. It does not judge. It simply learns what you practice. This might sound daunting, but it is also profoundly hopeful, because it means you are not trapped by your past. The pathways laid down years ago can be overgrown. New pathways can be built. Change is always possible. Let us go deeper now into the details of how this works. At the level of a single synapse, there is a quiet conversation happening. The sending neuron releases chemicals called neurotransmitters. You may have heard of some of these: dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, gamma-aminobutyric acid, often called GABA. Each of these chemicals has a role. Some excite the receiving neuron, urging it to fire. Others calm it, telling it to stay quiet. The balance between excitation and inhibition is delicate. Too much excitation, and the system becomes chaotic. Too much inhibition, and nothing happens. But when the balance is right, the brain hums with activity. After a neurotransmitter is released, it drifts across the synaptic gap. On the other side, the receiving neuron has receptors. Think of receptors as locks and neurotransmitters as keys. When the right key enters the right lock, the receptor changes shape. A door opens. Charged particles flow into the neuron. And if enough doors open at once, the neuron fires. Now, here is where plasticity becomes visible at the smallest scale. If a synapse is used frequently, the receiving neuron may grow more receptors, more locks for the keys. This makes the synapse more sensitive, easier to activate. Or, the sending neuron may release more neurotransmitters with each signal, more keys sent across the gap. Either way, the connection grows stronger. Conversely, if a synapse is rarely used, the receiving neuron may reduce the number of receptors. Fewer locks. The synapse becomes less sensitive, harder to activate. This is synaptic pruning at the molecular level. These changes do not happen instantly. They unfold over hours, days, weeks. The brain is patient. It waits to see if a pattern is real or just a passing event. Only when a signal is repeated does the brain commit resources to strengthening that pathway. There is also another layer to this. The structure of the neuron itself can change. The dendrites, those branch-like extensions that receive signals, can grow. They can sprout new spines, tiny protrusions where synapses form. When you learn something new, your neurons may literally reach out further, seeking new connections. And sometimes, new neurons are born. For many years, scientists believed this was impossible. They thought you were born with all your neurons, and that was the end of it. But in the 1990s, researchers discovered neurogenesis. Neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons. It happens primarily in one region, the hippocampus, that same area involved in memory and learning. Every day, even in adulthood, a small number of new neurons are born in the hippocampus. They migrate to where they are needed. They form connections. They integrate into the network. It is a slow process. The number of new neurons is small compared to the billions you already have. But it matters. These new neurons are thought to play a role in keeping memory flexible, in allowing you to distinguish between similar experiences, in maintaining the brain's capacity for learning throughout life. Think of them as fresh soil in the garden, a place where new seeds can take root. So, neuroplasticity is not just one thing. It is many processes working together. Synapses strengthening, synapses weakening, new synapses forming, dendrites growing, receptors increasing or decreasing, new neurons being born. All of it, woven together, creating the brain's remarkable ability to adapt. And all of it, guided by experience. The forest grows in the direction you walk. Now let's continue the forest paths, thinking about the way experience shapes the landscape. Every moment of your life, every sensation, every thought, every action leaves a trace in the brain. Some traces are faint, like a single footstep on soft ground. They fade quickly. Others are deep, like a cart rolling along the same track year after year, carving ruts into the earth. The difference is repetition and emotion. When something happens once, the brain notices. But when something happens again and again, the brain says, "This matters. This is important. I should remember this." And so it strengthens those pathways. Emotion acts like a spotlight. When an experience is accompanied by strong emotion, whether joy or fear or surprise or love, the brain pays extra attention. It releases chemicals that enhance the encoding of that memory, that strengthen those specific connections. This is why you remember your first day of school, but not the 100 routine days that followed. This is why a single moment of heartbreak can feel more vivid than years of quiet contentment. Emotion tells the brain, "This matters. Remember this." But here is the gentle truth. The pathways carved by emotion are not permanent. They can soften over time. They can be overlaid with new experiences. The brain is always updating, always revising, always learning what is relevant now. Let us walk through an example. Imagine you are learning to play the piano. You sit at the keys. You place your fingers on middle C. At first, your fingers do not know where to go. You must look at the sheet music. Look at your hands. Think about which finger presses which key. Your brain is working hard. Neurons in your visual cortex are active, processing the symbols on the page. Neurons in your motor cortex are active, sending signals to your fingers. Neurons in your auditory cortex are active, listening to the sounds you are creating. And all of these areas are talking to each other, forming connections. The first time you play a scale, it is slow, hesitant. You make mistakes, but you try again and again. Each time, the neurons involved fire in sequence. And with each repetition, the connections between them strengthen. Long-term potentiation is happening. After a week of practice, the scale is smoother. You do not have to think as hard. After a month, your fingers seem to know the way on their own. The pathway has been worn smooth. But something else is happening too. The parts of your brain that are not needed are being pruned away. At first, many areas of your brain were involved because everything was new and effortful. But as the skill becomes automatic, the brain becomes more efficient. It routes the task through a smaller, more specialized network. The forest path that once wandered through many areas becomes a direct route. This is one of the paradoxes of learning. At first, learning requires effort and broad activation. But as you master something, it requires less effort and more focused activation. The brain conserves energy this way. And if you continue to practice, something remarkable happens. The motor sequences become embedded so deeply that they can be performed with almost no conscious thought. This is called procedural memory. It is the memory of how to do things, how to ride a bike, how to tie a knot, how to type without looking at the keys. Procedural memories are stored differently than factual memories. They live in deeper structures, the basal ganglia, the cerebellum. These areas work beneath conscious awareness, allowing your body to move fluidly, while your conscious mind thinks about other things. This is the gift of neuroplasticity. It lets you automate skills, freeing your attention for new challenges. But now, imagine something different. Imagine you stop playing the piano. Months go by, years. What happens to those carefully built pathways? They do not vanish immediately. The brain holds on to skills, especially ones that were deeply learned. But over time, if they are not used, they weaken. The synapses are pruned. The grass grows over the path. When you finally sit down at the piano again, you might find that you still remember some of it. Your fingers might recall the shape of a chord. The muscle memory lingers, but the fluency is gone. You have to relearn. The good news is, relearning is almost always faster than learning the first time. Because even though the path is overgrown, it still exists beneath the surface. The brain recognizes the pattern, and it can rebuild the connections more quickly. This is sometimes called savings. The brain saves a little bit of the old learning, even when it seems forgotten. Now let us shift our gaze from skills to something more intimate. Thoughts. The way you think is also shaped by neuroplasticity. Every thought you have is a pattern of neural activity, and when you think the same thought repeatedly, that pattern becomes stronger. If you often think, "I am not good enough," the neural pathway associated with that thought becomes well-worn. It becomes easier for your brain to travel that route again. The thought arises more quickly, more automatically. It becomes what some call a default mode. But the same is true for kinder thoughts. If you practice thinking, "I am learning," or "I am doing my best," those pathways strengthen. Over time, with repetition, they can become the new default. This is not about positive thinking erasing reality. It is about the brain's tendency to repeat what it practices. Thoughts are patterns. Patterns can change. There is a field of study called cognitive behavioral therapy that uses this principle. It helps people notice unhelpful thought patterns and practice new ones. At first, the new thoughts feel forced, unnatural. But with time, they become easier, more believable, because the neural pathways supporting them have strengthened. The forest is growing in a new direction. Neuroplasticity also shapes how you respond to the world. Your emotional reactions are patterns too. If every time you encounter a challenge, you feel a surge of anxiety, the connection between challenge and anxiety strengthens. It becomes a habit, a well-worn path. But emotions are not fixed. You can learn to respond differently. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes practice. But it is possible. Imagine you feel anxious every time you have to speak in front of others. That anxiety is a neural pattern. The moment you think about public speaking, neurons associated with threat and discomfort activate. Your heart rate increases. Your palms sweat. Your mind goes blank. This is a pathway that has been reinforced, perhaps over many years. But what if, very gradually, you begin to practice speaking in small, safe settings with kind listeners? At first, the anxiety still comes. The old pathway is strong. But each time you speak and nothing terrible happens, a new pathway begins to form. A pathway that says, "This is uncomfortable, but I can do it." Over time, with repetition, the new pathway strengthens. The anxiety does not disappear entirely, but it lessens. And your brain begins to associate speaking not only with threat, but also with capability. This is not magic. It is biology. It is the brain doing what it does best, learning, adapting. Now let us turn to something that can feel much heavier. Trauma? We will tread gently here, because this is sensitive ground. Trauma, in the context of the brain, is an experience so overwhelming that it leaves deep marks on the neural landscape. The pathways formed during trauma are strong. They are meant to protect you. Your brain learns, "This situation is dangerous. I must be ready to fight or flee or freeze." And so it builds a powerful response pathway. The problem is, sometimes that pathway stays active, even when the danger has passed. The brain continues to perceive threat where there is none. Reminders of the trauma, even small ones, can trigger the whole response again. But here is where neuroplasticity offers hope. Trauma pathways, like all pathways, can be changed, not erased. The brain does not have a delete button, but new pathways can be built alongside the old ones. Therapeutic approaches, like exposure therapy or EMDR, work by gently helping the brain revisit the trauma memory in a safe context. Over time, the brain learns, I can think about this and still be safe. The memory is still there, but the emotional intensity softens. New associations are formed. This process is called reconsolidation. When you recall a memory, it becomes temporarily unstable. And in that window, before it is stored again, it can be updated. You can add new information, new feelings, new meanings. The memory is reconsolidated in a slightly different form. This is not about forgetting. It is about integrating, about allowing the brain to reorganize its response so that the past does not dominate the present. Healing, at the level of the brain, is the slow building of new pathways. Pathways that say, I survived. I am here now. I am safe in this moment. It takes time, sometimes years. But the capacity is there. The brain wants to heal. It wants to adapt. It wants to find balance. Let us return now to gentler ground, to the everyday ways that neuroplasticity shapes your life. Habits. Habits are one of the most visible expressions of neuroplasticity. A habit is simply a behavior that has been repeated so often that it becomes automatic. Think about your morning routine. You wake up. Maybe you reach for your phone, or you go to the kitchen and make coffee, or you brush your teeth in a certain order. You do not think about these actions. They just happen. This is because the neural pathways supporting these actions are deeply worn. They've been traveled thousands of times. Your brain can execute them with minimal conscious involvement. Habits save mental energy. They allow you to navigate your day without having to make every single decision from scratch. But sometimes you might want to change a habit, and this is where you meet resistance. Changing a habit means building a new pathway, while the old one is still there, strong and familiar. At first, the new behavior feels unnatural. Your brain keeps wanting to default to the old pathway. It is easier, faster. It requires less energy. But if you keep choosing the new behavior, something begins to shift. The new pathway gets a little stronger each time. And the old pathway, because it is not being used, starts to weaken. This does not happen overnight. Research suggests it takes anywhere from a few weeks to several months for a new habit to feel automatic. The exact time varies. It depends on the complexity of the habit. It depends on how often you practice. It depends on your environment and motivation. But the underlying principle is always the same. Repetition strengthens pathways. The brain learns what you practice. There is a loop that habits follow. First, there is a cue, something in your environment or your internal state that triggers the habit. Then, there is the routine, the behavior itself. And finally, there is a reward, something your brain finds satisfying that reinforces the loop. For example, you feel stressed. That is the cue. You reach for a snack. That is the routine. You feel a momentary sense of comfort. That is the reward. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. Stress equals snack. To change the habit, you do not need to eliminate the cue or the reward. You can change the routine. When you feel stressed, instead of reaching for a snack, you might take 3 deep breaths, or step outside for a moment, or call a friend. At first, these alternatives will not feel as satisfying. The snack pathway is strong. But if the new routine provides some reward, even a small one, the brain begins to learn. Oh, this works too. Over time, the new routine becomes easier. The new pathway strengthens. And eventually, it may become the new default. This is compassionate news, because it means you are not weak for struggling to change. You are not broken. You are simply navigating a brain that has learned one way of doing things and now must learn another. Change takes time, and that is okay. The brain is patient. It will get there. One step at a time. One repetition at a time. Now, let us wander into another aspect of this landscape. The role of attention. Attention is like sunlight in the forest. Where you direct your attention, that is where growth happens. Neurons that receive attention are more likely to strengthen their connections. Areas of the brain that are used with focused attention show more plasticity. This has been demonstrated in many studies. When people learn a new skill, the amount of improvement is linked not just to the amount of practice, but to the quality of attention during that practice. If you practice piano, but your mind is elsewhere, the learning is slower. But if you practice with full presence, noticing each note, each movement, the learning accelerates. Attention tells the brain, this is important. This deserves resources. And the brain responds. This is also why distraction makes learning harder. When your attention is divided, the brain does not know what to prioritize. The pathways you want to strengthen receive only a fraction of the signal they need. But attention is not just about focus. It is also about curiosity. When you are curious, when you genuinely want to understand something, your brain releases chemicals that enhance plasticity. Dopamine, one of those neurotransmitters we mentioned earlier, plays a key role. Dopamine is often called the reward chemical, but it is also deeply involved in learning. When something is novel, or interesting, or rewarding, dopamine is released. And dopamine helps to strengthen the synaptic connections that were active at that moment. This is why learning feels easier when you care about the subject. When you are excited to know more, your brain is chemically primed to make those connections stick. So curiosity is not just a pleasant feeling. It is a powerful tool for neuroplasticity, as is novelty. When you encounter something new, your brain perks up. New environments, new experiences, new challenges all stimulate plasticity. This is why travel can feel so enriching, not just emotionally, but cognitively. Your brain is building new pathways to navigate unfamiliar streets, to understand different customs, to process new sights and sounds. But you do not need to travel far to experience novelty. You can take a different route on your daily walk. You can try cooking a new recipe. You can read about a topic you know nothing about. Each small novelty invites the brain to adapt. The brain loves patterns, but it also loves when those patterns are gently challenged. Now, let us pause here and take a slow breath. You have been listening for some time now, and perhaps you have noticed that as you listen, your own brain is changing. Right now, in this moment, neurons are firing. Connections are forming. You are learning about neuroplasticity through neuroplasticity. There is something quietly beautiful about that. The tool and the subject are one and the same. Rest now if you need to. Let your mind drift. The forest will still be here when you return, and when you return, we will walk together into new territory. Let us talk now about sleep, because sleep is where much of the brain's most important work happens. While you are awake, your brain is busy. It is processing information, responding to the world, making decisions, forming memories. But all of this activity creates a kind of noise. The pathways light up constantly. Signals travel in every direction. The forest is full of movement. And then you sleep, and everything changes. Sleep is not passive. It is not simply the absence of waking. Sleep is an active process, during which the brain does essential work. One of the most important things that happens during sleep is memory consolidation. During the day, you experience countless things. You learn, you observe, you interact. Each experience creates a temporary trace, a fragile pattern of neural activity. But these traces are unstable. They fade quickly, unless they are strengthened. That strengthening happens during sleep. While you rest, your brain replays the day's experiences, not consciously. You are not aware of it. But deep in the hippocampus, the same neural patterns that were active during learning fire again. This replay is selective. The brain does not replay everything. It prioritizes what seemed important, what was associated with emotion, what was repeated. And as these patterns replay, the connections involved are strengthened. Long-term potentiation occurs. The synapses grow more robust. What was temporary becomes more permanent. This is why sleep is so important for learning. If you study for a test and then stay awake all night, your brain does not have the chance to consolidate what you learned. The information remains fragile. But if you sleep, even just a few hours, the memories are strengthened. Studies have shown this again and again. People who sleep after learning remember more than people who stay awake. And it is not just about duration. The quality of sleep matters too. Sleep has stages. There is light sleep, and deep sleep, and REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement. It is the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs. Each stage plays a different role in memory and plasticity. Deep sleep, the slowest, quietest stage, is especially important for consolidating declarative memories. Declarative memories are facts and events, the things you can consciously recall. During deep sleep, the hippocampus and the cortex communicate. The hippocampus, which temporarily holds new memories, sends them to the cortex, where they can be stored for the long term. REM sleep is more involved in procedural memories and emotional processing. It helps integrate new skills. It helps process emotions from the day. and it may play a role in creative problem-solving. By allowing the brain to make unexpected connections. You have probably experienced this. You go to bed struggling with a problem, and when you wake, the solution feels clear. Your brain worked on it while you slept. But sleep does something else, something equally vital. It clears away waste. During waking hours, the brain's cells produce metabolic waste, little byproducts of their activity. These waste products, if allowed to accumulate, can interfere with neural function. The brain has a cleaning system called the glymphatic system. It is similar to the lymphatic system in the rest of the body, but it operates in the brain. During sleep, especially deep sleep, the space between brain cells expands slightly, and cerebrospinal fluid flows through, washing away the accumulated waste. This process is much less active during waking, which means sleep is not just about rest. It is about maintenance, about keeping the brain healthy and clear. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs neuroplasticity. When you do not sleep enough, the brain struggles to form new connections. Existing connections may weaken. Learning becomes harder. Memory becomes less reliable. Emotions become harder to regulate. This is not a moral failing. It is biology. The brain needs sleep, the way a garden needs rain. So if you are listening to this, and you are drifting towards sleep, know that you are giving your brain a gift. You are allowing it to consolidate, to clean, to restore. You are participating in your own neuroplasticity. And when you wake, your brain will be slightly different than it was. Stronger in some pathways. Clearer in some areas. Ready to learn again. Now, let us wander into a question that many people ask. Does neuroplasticity fade with age? For a long time, the assumption was yes. People believed that the brain was most plastic in childhood, and that plasticity declined sharply after adolescence. And it is true that the young brain is extraordinarily plastic. Children learn languages with ease. They adapt to new environments quickly. Their brains are forming and pruning connections at a rapid pace. But this does not mean that plasticity disappears in adulthood. It changes. The adult brain is more selective. It has already laid down many well-worn pathways. It is more efficient, but also more stable. This stability is not a weakness. It allows you to rely on accumulated knowledge and skill. It gives you consistency. But it also means that forming entirely new pathways can take more effort than it did when you were young. The forest is denser now. The paths are deeper. There is more to navigate. But plasticity remains. Studies have shown that older adults can still learn new skills, can still form new memories, can still change their brains. It may take longer, it may require more repetition, but it is possible. In fact, there are forms of plasticity that may even increase with age. Emotional regulation, for example, often improves as people grow older. Older adults tend to be better at managing their emotions, at choosing which situations to engage with, at finding meaning in their experiences. This is plasticity too. The brain is learning, throughout the lifespan, how to navigate the inner world. There is also something called cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve refers to the brain's resilience, its ability to maintain function, even in the face of aging or damage. People who engage in mentally stimulating activities throughout life, who learn new things, who stay curious, tend to have greater cognitive reserve. Their brains have built rich, interconnected networks. And if one pathway is damaged, the brain can often find another route. This is like having many paths through the forest. If one path becomes blocked, you can take another. So age does not end neuroplasticity. It simply changes the context. And the good news is, the things that support plasticity work at any age. Let us talk gently about those things now. The practices and conditions that help the brain remain flexible and adaptable. First, learning itself. The act of learning is the most direct way to stimulate plasticity. When you challenge your brain with something new, it responds by forming new connections. This does not need to be formal education. It can be learning to garden, learning to paint, learning the names of birds in your neighborhood. Anything that asks your brain to stretch supports plasticity. Second, physical movement. Exercise is one of the most powerful supports for brain health. When you move your body, especially in ways that raise your heart rate, blood flow to the brain increases. More oxygen, more nutrients. Exercise also triggers the release of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Its abbreviation is BDNF. BDNF is like fertilizer for neurons. It supports the growth of new connections. It helps existing neurons survive. It enhances learning and memory. Studies have shown that people who exercise regularly have larger hippocampi. They perform better on memory tasks. They show greater neuroplasticity. You do not need to run marathons. Even gentle movement, walking, stretching, dancing in your living room, all of it supports the brain. Third, sleep. We have already talked about sleep, but it is worth repeating. Consistent, restorative sleep is essential for plasticity. Fourth, social connection. Human brains are social. We evolved to live in groups, to communicate, to cooperate. When you engage with others, when you have meaningful conversations, when you feel connected, your brain is active in complex ways. Social interaction requires you to read facial expressions, interpret tone of voice, predict what someone might be thinking or feeling, respond appropriately. It is cognitively demanding, and that demand supports plasticity. Loneliness, on the other hand, is associated with decreased brain health. This is not about being introverted or extroverted. It is about having connections that feel meaningful to you. Fifth, nutrition. The brain is an energy-intensive organ. It requires fuel. And the quality of that fuel matters. Diets rich in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats support brain function. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish and some plant sources, are particularly important for brain health. They are building blocks of cell membranes. They support communication between neurons. Antioxidants, found in colorful fruits and vegetables, help protect the brain from oxidative stress. But this is not about perfection. It is about general patterns. Nourishing your body in whatever way feels sustainable and kind. Sixth, managing stress. Chronic stress is hard on the brain. When you are stressed, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. In short bursts, it is helpful. It mobilizes energy. It prepares you to respond to a challenge. But when cortisol levels remain high for long periods, it can interfere with plasticity. It can impair memory. It can even shrink the hippocampus. This is why practices that reduce stress are so important. Meditation, deep breathing, time in nature, creative expression. Anything that helps you find calm helps your brain. And finally, purpose and meaning. When you feel that what you are doing matters, when you have goals that excite you, when you feel connected to something larger than yourself, your brain is engaged. Purpose is not about grand achievements. It can be found in small things, in caring for a garden, in helping a neighbor, in learning something just because it fascinates you. When you have a reason to engage with the world, your brain stays active, and activity supports plasticity. These are not rules. They are invitations, gentle suggestions for how to support the remarkable organ inside your skull. You do not need to do all of them perfectly. You do not need to do them all at once. The brain is forgiving. It is patient. Any step you take toward learning, toward movement, toward rest, toward connection, is a step that supports your brain's ability to grow and change. And the beautiful thing is, you do not need to think about it constantly. You do not need to monitor every synapse. The brain knows what to do. You simply live, you learn, you experience, you rest, and beneath conscious awareness, the forest is always growing. Let us take another pause here, a moment to breathe. The air is cool, the forest is quiet. You are here, your brain is here, listening, changing, always changing. And that is exactly as it should be. Now, we descend deeper into the quiet. We have walked through the forest. We have seen how paths are made, how they strengthen, how they fade. We have learned about the brain's endless capacity to adapt. But now, we enter the softest part of this journey, the part where words become fewer, where ideas dissolve into feeling, where you can simply rest and let your brain do what it does best. Grow, heal, change, all on its own. There's a river that runs through the forest. You cannot see it from where you stand, but you can hear it. A gentle sound, constant and quiet, like a whisper that never ends. The river does not rush. It flows slowly, winding between the trees, over smooth stones, through patches of moss. Sometimes the river is wide and shallow. Sometimes it narrows and deepens, but it always flows. This river is your brain's journey through time. It has been flowing since before you were born. It will flow as long as you live. The water in the river is never the same. Each moment, new water arrives from upstream. Each moment, the water that was here a second ago moves downstream. You cannot step into the same river twice. This is what the ancient philosophers said, and it is true. Your brain, in this very moment, is not the same brain it was a moment ago. Connections have shifted, chemicals have moved, signals have traveled. You are different now than you were when this journey began. And that is the fundamental truth of neuroplasticity. Change is not something that might happen. Change is always happening. The river flows, whether you notice it or not. Sometimes, the river flows gently over familiar ground. Your daily routines, your practiced skills, your well-known thoughts. The water follows the same channels it has followed before. And this is good. This is the stability that allows you to function. But sometimes, the river encounters an obstacle. A fallen tree, a pile of stones, something that blocks the usual path. The river does not stop. It cannot stop. So it finds another way. It flows around the obstacle. It carves a new channel. Slowly, patiently, the water reshapes the landscape. This is what your brain does when something changes in your life. When you lose something you relied on. When you must learn a new way. When the old path is no longer available. The brain does not give up. It finds another way. It might take time. The new channel might be narrow at first, uncertain, unfamiliar. But the river keeps flowing. And with each passing day, the new path becomes clearer. This is resilience. Not the absence of difficulty, but the capacity to adapt when difficulty comes. Your brain is built for this. It has been doing this for millions of years, across countless generations. You carry within you the adaptation of your ancestors. Their brains changed in response to their environments. They learned, they survived, they passed that capacity on. And now it lives in you. This extraordinary organ, soft and intricate, always changing, always growing. Even now, as you rest, as you listen, as your attention drifts, your brain is taking care of itself. It is sorting through the signals of the day, deciding what to keep, what to strengthen, what to release. It is balancing its chemistry, adjusting the levels of neurotransmitters, preparing for tomorrow. You do not have to manage this. You do not have to control it. The river knows where to flow. All you need to do is trust. Trust that your brain is working for you. That it wants health, that it wants balance, that it wants you to thrive. And when you give it what it needs, rest, nourishment, kindness, it will do the rest. Let us walk beside the river for a while, not thinking too much, just walking. The ground is soft beneath your feet. The air smells of earth and water. Birds call somewhere in the canopy above. You do not need to go anywhere. There is no destination. This is simply the walk. And the river beside you flows. It does not worry about where it is going. It does not question its path. It simply flows. And so does your life, moment by moment, breath by breath. Your brain adapting, learning, quietly shaping itself to meet each new moment. Think of all the things your brain has learned without you even noticing. The rhythm of your own breath. The feeling of gravity holding you to the earth. The sound of silence, which is never truly silent, but filled with tiny sounds. Your brain learned the difference between sounds that matter and sounds that can be ignored. It learned to filter, to prioritize, to focus on what serves you. This filtering, happens below awareness. You do not decide what to notice and what to ignore. Your brain does it for you. And it has learned how to do this through years of experience, through plasticity. The brain is always trying to make your life easier, to automate what can be automated, to free your conscious mind for the things that truly require attention. This is a kind of gift, the gift of efficiency. But it also means that much of what your brain does is invisible to you. You are only aware of a fraction of the activity happening inside your skull. Right now, your brain is regulating your heartbeat, your breathing, your body temperature, your digestion. It is monitoring thousands of internal signals. It is keeping you alive. And you do not have to think about any of it. The forest takes care of itself. When a tree falls, the forest does not mourn. It simply adapts. Other trees grow toward the new opening, reaching for the light. Seedlings sprout where the fallen tree once stood. Fungi break down the wood, returning nutrients to the soil. Life continues. Life changes. Life adapts. Your brain's part of this same intelligence, the intelligence of living systems, the drive toward balance, toward healing, toward growth. You do not have to force it. You only have to allow it. And right now, in this moment, you are allowing it. By resting, by listening, by letting go of the need to do anything at all. The river flows. The forest grows. Your brain changes. All of it, without effort. Imagine now that you are sitting beside the river. The water moves past you, slow and steady. You trail your hand in the current. The water is cool, not cold, just cool enough to be refreshing. You watch the water flow around your fingers. It does not resist. It simply moves, finding the path of least resistance. This is wisdom. Not the wisdom of words or ideas, but the wisdom of nature. Flow where you can. Adapt when you must. Do not fight what cannot be changed. Your brain understands this. It has always understood this. When you were a child and you learned to walk, you fell many times. But your brain did not interpret falling as failure. It interpreted falling as information. Oh, this movement leads to falling. Let me try something different. And so you tried again and again. Not because you were determined or disciplined, but because your brain was designed to learn this way. Through experience, through repetition, through adaptation. And one day, you walked. And you have been walking ever since. The same principle applies to everything you have ever learned, to every challenge you have faced. Your brain met the challenge. It adapted. It found a way. And it will continue to do so for as long as you live. This is not something you need to earn. It is not something you need to deserve. It is simply what your brain does. It is the nature of the living system you are. So rest now. Rest beside the river. Let the water flow. Let the forest grow. Let your brain do its quiet work. You are safe here. You are held by the earth beneath you, by the air around you, by the ancient intelligence of your own body. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to become. You are already whole, already changing, already exactly where you need to be. The neurons in your brain are reaching out to each other, even now. Some connections are strengthening, some are fading, new possibilities are forming. And all of this is happening without your effort. It is the gift of life itself. The capacity to change, the capacity to heal, the capacity to grow. Not all at once, not with fanfare or drama, but slowly, steadily, like a river carving through stone. So gentle you might not notice, but unmistakable over time. This is the story of your brain. This is the story of you. Always flowing, always changing, always becoming. And the river flows on. The light through the trees is softer now. Evening is coming. Or perhaps morning is approaching. Time moves differently here, in this quiet place. You may have been listening for minutes. You may have been listening for hours. It does not matter. What matters is that you are here. And your brain is here with you. Faithful, resilient, endlessly adaptive. Think of all the moments your brain has carried you through. Moments of joy, moments of sorrow, moments of confusion, moments of clarity. In each moment, your brain was there, adapting, learning, helping you navigate. It has never stopped working for you, even when you doubted yourself, even when you felt lost. Your brain was there, quietly solving problems, quietly finding pathways, quietly holding your inner world together. You can trust it. You can trust this process. The process of change, the process of healing, the process of growth. It does not happen all at once, but it happens. Day by day, night by night, breath by breath. And right now, in this breath, your brain is changing. With the next breath, it will change again. This is the rhythm of life, the rhythm of neuroplasticity. Constant, unstoppable, beautiful. You are part of something much larger than yourself, part of the great unfolding of life on this planet. Every living thing adapts. Every living thing changes. You are no exception. And this is a source of comfort. You are not alone in this process. You are part of a pattern that has been repeating for billions of years. Life adapting to its environment. Life finding new ways to thrive. Your brain, with its trillions of connections, is the most recent expression of this ancient wisdom. And it is always on your side. So let go now. Let go of worry. Let go of effort. Let go of the need to understand everything. Just be here, beside the river, in the forest. The water flows. The trees grow. Your brain changes. All of it, without you having to do anything at all. This is the gift. This is the miracle. This is neuroplasticity. And it is happening right now inside you. Rest now. Rest deeply. Your brain will take care of everything. The pathways will strengthen. The connections will form. The healing will happen. All in its own time. All in its own way. The river flows. Always. Forever. And so do you, flowing. Always flowing. Through every season of your life. Through childhood, when the forest was young and wild, full of possibility. Through adolescence, when the paths were being chosen, some strengthened, others left behind. Through adulthood, when the forest found its shape, its character, its way of being. And the river continues. It does not stop at any stage. It does not say, "Now I am finished growing." The river flows. The forest grows. Your brain changes. Even now, even in this moment of rest. There is nowhere you need to be except here. Nothing you need to achieve except rest. And in this rest, your brain is doing its deepest work, consolidating memories, strengthening connections, clearing away what is no longer needed. Think of sleep as a gentle tide. It washes in, carrying with it the work of repair. It washes out, taking with it the debris of the day. Back and forth, in and out. The tide does not hurry. It follows its own rhythm. The rhythm of the moon. The rhythm of the earth. And your brain follows its own rhythm too. Cycles of activity and rest. Cycles of learning and consolidation. You do not need to control these cycles. They are built into the fabric of your being. Trust them. The forest knows when to shed its leaves. It knows when to bloom again. Your brain knows too. It knows when to hold on. It knows when to let go. All you need to do is rest and allow. Allow the process to unfold. Allow the healing to happen. Allow the change to come in its own time. There is no rushing a river. There is no rushing the growth of a tree. And there is no rushing the transformation of your brain. It happens slowly, imperceptibly, like the movement of stars across the night sky. You cannot see them move. But if you look away and look back hours later, they have traveled across the heavens. So too with your brain. You cannot feel the individual synapses strengthening. You cannot sense the exact moment a new connection forms. But over time, you notice. Something that was once hard becomes easier. Something that once caused pain becomes bearable. Something you thought you could never do, you find yourself doing. This is the quiet miracle of neuroplasticity. Not dramatic, not sudden, but real. So real. And it is available to you, always. At any age, at any stage, no matter what has happened before. The river can always find a new path. The forest can always grow again. Your brain can always change. This is not a promise of perfection. It is a promise of possibility. The possibility of learning, the possibility of healing, the possibility of becoming a little bit different than you were yesterday. And that is enough. More than enough. You are enough. Right now, in this moment, with this brain that is always changing, always adapting, always working for you, even when you sleep, especially when you sleep. So let yourself drift now. Let the words fade. Let the ideas dissolve. You do not need to hold on to anything. The forest will still be here tomorrow. The river will still be flowing. Your brain will still be changing. All of it, continuing, whether you are awake or asleep. And that is the most comforting thing of all. You do not have to manage this process. You do not have to oversee it. You simply have to live. And your brain will do the rest. It has always done the rest. From your very first breath to this breath right now. Your brain has been there. Faithful, resilient, endlessly adaptive. So rest now. Rest in the knowledge that you are held by your own biology, by the ancient wisdom of life itself. The river flows. The forest grows. The neurons reach out to one another. forming connections, building pathways, creating the ever-changing landscape of your inner world. And it is beautiful. So beautiful. This living network, this dynamic system, this miracle of adaptation. You are a miracle, and your brain is proof of that. Rest now. Let the forest hold you. Let the river carry you. Let sleep come if it comes, or let wakefulness remain if that is what your body needs. Either way, you are safe. Either way, your brain is changing, growing, healing, becoming. The pathways of your life are being written even now, with every breath, with every heartbeat, with every moment of rest. And the story they tell is the story of resilience, of adaptation, of life finding a way, always finding a way. The river flows through shadow and light, through narrow passages and wide valleys, through seasons of drought and seasons of rain, but always it flows. And so do you, through every moment of your life, through joy and sorrow, through ease and difficulty. You flow. You adapt. You change. And your brain, your beautiful, complex, remarkable brain, makes it all possible. So rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. The forest is quiet. The river is gentle. And you are safe. So safe. Your brain is taking care of everything. It always has. It always will. The pathways are forming. The connections are strengthening. The healing is happening. All of it beneath the surface. All of it in its own time. All of it unfolding perfectly. The river knows where to go. Trust it. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Change is happening. Healing is happening. Growth is happening. Right now. In this moment. In you. And it is beautiful. Rest now. Rest. The river flows. The forest grows. Your brain changes. And you are held. Always held. By the quiet miracle of life itself. Rest. 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 The pathways are there. The connections are forming. The healing is real. And it is all happening now. In the soft darkness. In the gentle quiet. In the sacred space of rest. Your brain is working. Always working. For you. With you. As you. Rest now. Let go. The forest is here. The river is here. And you are exactly where you need to be. Sleep now, if sleep will come. Or simply rest in the knowing. The knowing that change is possible. That healing is real. That your brain is always on your side. Always adapting. Always learning. Always finding the way forward. The river flows. Forever. Forest grows. Forever. And you continue. Forever changing. Forever adapting. Forever becoming. This is neuroplasticity. This is life. This is you. Rest now. Rest deeply. The forest will still be here when you wake. The river will still be flowing. And your brain will have changed once more. Quietly. Perfectly. In exactly the way it needed to. Rest. 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 The pathways are yours. The journey is yours. And the capacity for change is always, always within you. Sleep well or rest gently. Either way, you are safe. The river flows. And so do you, flowing onward into the deepest quiet. There is no destination now. Only this moment. Only this breath. Only the soft presence of your own awareness. If you are still listening, that is beautiful. If you have drifted into sleep, that is beautiful too. There is no right way to be here, only your way. The forest at night is different than the forest by day. The shapes soften. The edges blur. What was distinct becomes mysterious. And yet, the forest is still the forest. The trees are still rooted. The river still flows. Nothing essential has changed. Only the light. And so it is with consciousness. Whether you are awake or asleep, your brain continues its work. The pathways continue to form. The connections continue to strengthen. The healing continues. It does not need your attention. It does not need your awareness. It simply happens. Like breathing. Like the beating of your heart. Your brain takes care of itself. And in doing so, it takes care of you. Think of the countless processes happening right now beneath your awareness. Your body temperature is being regulated. Your blood sugar is being balanced. Your immune system is patrolling for threats. Your digestive system is processing nutrients. All of this coordinated by your brain. All of this without conscious effort. You are being taken care of. Always. By the ancient intelligence that lives in your cells. By the wisdom that predates thought. You can trust this. You can rest into this. The forest grows without worry. The river flows without doubt. And your brain changes without question. It knows what to do. It has always known. So let yourself be held by this knowing. Let yourself sink into the deep rest. That is your birthright. There is nothing to figure out. Nothing to solve. Nothing to become. You are already everything you need to be. And your brain is already doing everything it needs to do. The pathways are forming. Slowly. Steadily. Perfectly. In the darkness, neurons are reaching toward each other. Finding each other. Connecting. Building the network that will support tomorrow's thoughts, tomorrow's movements, tomorrow's experiences. This is happening now. In you. And it is sacred. Not in a religious sense, but sacred in the sense that it is worthy of reverence. This capacity to change. This capacity to heal. This capacity to grow. It is a gift. One you carry with you. Always. The river flows. Through seasons of plenty and seasons of scarcity. Through times of clarity and times of confusion. But always it flows. Because that is its nature. And change is your nature. Growth is your nature. Adaptation is your nature. You do not have to strive for it. You only have to allow it. And right now, by resting, you are allowing it. You are giving your brain the space it needs to do its work. And that work is profound. Memories are being consolidated. Emotions are being processed. Patterns are being recognized. Solutions are being discovered. All beneath the surface. All in the quiet. All in the dark. This is the work of sleep. This is the work of rest. And it is as important as any work you do while awake. Perhaps more important. Because this is where integration happens. Where the scattered pieces of your day come together into meaning. Where the lessons learned become part of who you are. where the brain updates its model of the world and of yourself within it. So sleep is not wasted time. Rest is not laziness. These are active states of healing and growth. And your brain knows this. Even if your conscious mind forgets. The forest knows when to rest. In winter, the trees appear dormant. No leaves. No flowers. But beneath the surface, roots are still growing. Nutrients are being stored. Preparations are being made for spring. Rest is not absence. It is preparation. And so it is with you. When you rest, you are not stopping. You are preparing for tomorrow, for the next challenge, for the next moment of learning. Your brain is building the foundation for everything that comes next. So rest deeply. Rest without guilt. Rest without rushing. The river is in no hurry. It takes the time it takes to reach the ocean. And you, take the time you take to become who you are becoming. There is no schedule for transformation. No deadline for healing. No timeline for growth. Each brain moves at its own pace. Each life unfolds in its own time. And yours is unfolding perfectly, even when it does not feel that way. Even when you doubt, even when you struggle, the river flows, even through obstacles, even through narrow passages. The river flows, and so do you. Forward, always forward, toward healing, toward growth, toward the next version of yourself, the version that is already forming, in the connections being made right now as you rest. You cannot see it yet, but it is there, growing, emerging, becoming real, one synapse at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. And all you need to do is rest. All you need to do is trust. All you need to do is allow. The forest knows how to grow. The river knows where to flow. And your brain knows how to change. It has been doing this since before you were born. It will continue for as long as you live. This is the promise of neuroplasticity. Not that change is easy, but that change is possible. Always. At any moment. In any circumstance. Your brain can find a new way, can forge a new path, can create a new pattern. It has done it before. It will do it again, and again, and again. For this is what it means to be alive, to be constantly changing, to be endlessly adapting, to be forever becoming. You are not a finished product. You are a process. A beautiful, ongoing, ever-evolving process. And your brain is the organ that makes this process possible. So honor it. By resting, by sleeping, by giving it the quiet darkness it needs to do its deepest work. The forest at night is not empty. It is full of quiet activity, roots growing, fungi spreading, nutrients moving through the soil, all of it invisible, all of it essential. And so it is with your brain. In the darkness of sleep, in the quiet of rest, the most important work happens. So rest now, deeply, completely, without reservation. The river flows. The forest grows. Your brain changes. All of it. Perfect. All of it. Natural. All of it exactly as it should be. You are safe. You are held. You are changing in ways you cannot yet see. But the change is real. The growth is real. The healing is real. And it is happening now, in this moment. in you. Rest, rest, rest. The pathways are forming. The connections are strengthening. The future is being built in the present moment. And you are part of this beautiful unfolding. So rest. Let the river carry you. Let the forest hold you. Let your brain do what it does best. Change, heal, grow. Forever. And always. In service of life. In service of you. Rest now. Rest deeply. The river flows. And so do you.